Hey guys, my name is Abhishek and thank you so much for tuning in to another episode of the Code Studio. In today's episode, we are going to finish up our discussion on React hooks. And as you can see, today's session is going to be a little different from our usual VS Code coding session. What I'm going to discuss with you today is more of a conceptual understanding. The actual code wise implementation will be more relevant in a larger project, which we will get to in the coming few videos. But for today's session, we're going to discuss more at a very abstract level. But I'll try my best to convey to you what the thought process behind React hooks generally is. Before I get started with the in-depth discussion, I would really appreciate it if you gave this video a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. Uh, the subscription and the likes really helps me grow my channel and reach out to more people who are interested in coding. With that out of the way, let's get started. So, we discussed a bunch of things with respect to React hooks. We discussed how they would make the component lifecycle of a single app simpler. So, let's say we have an app component one, which was with whose lifecycle we were managing initially using component did mount, component did unmount, and all of that. But all of that became simple. So all of that became simple with when we started using hooks. So the next step was for us to understand how hooks would also help us manage the state. So we were able to appreciate how hooks helped us manage both state as well as the life cycle of a component. In this discussion, we are going to talk more about how hooks make it easier for us to not just manage one component state and life cycle. It helps us manage the state and life cycle of a large set of components. So let's consider a very basic example, and this example is also discussed in the official documentation of the React hooks. They talk about uh, uh, a chat uh, messenger sort of application in which you can see a friend status. So next to your friend FR1, you can see a highlight which is telling you if they're online or not. And then there is also a list of friends. This is your chat window. There's also a list of friends, and in this list also you want to show which all friends are online or not. So basically what is happening over here is uh, two of your components, the component of a single friend chat window and the component which shows all your friends and their respective online statuses, rely on the same state, which is whether that particular friend is online or not. Usually, if we had to do this in the old React way, what we would do is this component would have, let's say that is C1, and then there is the other larger component for the for listing all your friends, which is C2. It's gonna be here, and this is gonna be here. If these two, if in these two you wanted to manage the state of the online, what you would do is you would inside the component did mount of C1, you would call an API, and then you would make sense of that API's response, and then you would determine if that user is online or not. In C2, what you would do is in the component did mount, you would basically copy the same function. So I'm going to draw dotted line to show that I'm just copying whatever this function was already doing. So as you can appreciate from this, it is clear that there is some amount of duplication that is going on. So let's see how React Hooks is able to help us, resolve this code duplication for, reusable states. So one thing we know what React Hooks does is React Hooks gives us the capability of doing API calls and understanding the state and managing the component lifecycle. So what we can do is there are two components. So let's say there is another component C2, which is this component that I'm talking about over here. So what this was doing is this was component 1 is directly referring to React hooks. What if we change that? What if we remove this link? Oops, I am still getting used to this tool, guys, sorry. Yep. So instead of a component 1 directly calling React hooks, what if we made a custom hook? Let me signify that with a triangle. So there's a custom hook that internally calls the plain vanilla React hooks, and that custom hook also has the business logic of doing the API call, modifying and inferring whether a person is online or not. So based on that user's ID, the custom hook will invoke the right React hook functions, do the API calls, and then infer the online status of that particular user. While this seems super straightforward to do, it's actually as straightforward as I describe it to be. You'll just have to write it in one central custom hooks place where you would write all the logic for doing the API call and inferring the data. And what component 1 would do is component 1 would refer to this custom hook that you built, and component 2 would also do the same thing. So the advantage that React hook is giving us over here is instead of doing two lifecycle management of two seemingly similar components with very similar states, hooks is allowing you to combine that logic into one centralized place where you will only need to change the code at one place. So that's sort of the underlying principle or underlying use of React hooks, and this will provide us a nice segue into future discussions on topics such as Redux, which is basically React hooks on steroids. So stay tuned for more tutorial videos and more discussion sort of videos as well. And I hope you enjoyed this. I hope you were able to find value in what we were discussing. I know this is not something that I usually do. Most of what we usually do is we get into the very low level code of the component, but I really wanted to try this out and wanted to understand how you guys felt about it. So please let me know in the comment section below if you found this video useful. Please don't forget to like, share, comment and subscribe. If you have suggestions for me, feel free to reach out in the comment section below. Thank you so much and have a wonderful rest of the day. Bye guys.